Okay, we're good.
Right. Take people.
It should still show up here.
So I just.
Yeah, this says in there.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good Chodesh. Great to be here. Great to be anywhere. One of the benefits of this particular opportunity to learn together, study together, is that he gives me a bully pulpit to talk about whatever I want to talk about, which is nice. I have the same privilege when I write for the link, although there sometimes they censor, but here I can just keep on going. I want to talk about Shabbos. People observe Shabbos in many, many different ways. And I want us to try to talk out and discuss and grapple with how we relate to Shabbos in different ways. What Shabbos is supposed to be, what it's become in some places, and how we ought to deal with it. There are two aspects to Shabbos, as everybody knows. When you recite Kiddush on Friday night, almost everybody stands for the first paragraph of Kiddush because that's testimony. It's edus that God created the world. And that's a very important part of Shabbos, to acknowledge the fact that Hashem is the Borei Olam. And then the second part is also interesting. Zecher L'Yetzias Mitzrayim. Not only is God the creator of the universe, but God also made us into a nation by taking us from slavery into freedom and taking us out of Mitzrayim. And we express those two very different ideas in how we observe Shabbos. We acknowledge Hashem as the creator by not doing malacha on Shabbos. And malacha, I think I mentioned once before, the definition of malacha is not work. Malacha is positive, goal-oriented activities showing man's mastery over nation. It's a long definition of what malacha is. A positive, goal-oriented activity showing man's creativity over nature, mastery over nature. For example, you can knock down a building, theoretically, on Shabbos. It's destructive. It's not creative. Midrabanan, we don't allow. But we do not observe, we observe Shabbos by not doing malacha. That's one aspect. So theoretically, you could sleep through Shabbos all day long, not do anything, and theoretically observe Shabbos. But there's more to it than that, as I'm sure you understand. As far as Yetzias Mitzrayim is concerned, that's another important part in terms of we are free, but what are we free to do? The Gemara makes a very interesting play on words. It says, don't read it as cherus, freedom. Read it as chorus, inscribed, meaning that which is inscribed on the tablets, the Seres HaDibros. So Shabbos is observed by, I would say, most people in a very minimalist way, which is a criticism. Minimalist doesn't mean that they're machal Shabbos in any way, but they're missing an important aspect of Shabbos. By not doing malacha, you're observing Shabbos. But what is it that we're supposed to think about while we're not doing malacha? What is it that we're supposed to think about while we are observing some of the positive features? People look at Shabbos in two ways. There are negative things you cannot do, but there are many positive things about Shabbos, and people somehow miss that particular part. For example, there's a famous story about a count of some European town, city, whatever it was, who got lost in the forest on a Friday, and he knocked on a peasant's house. They said, I'm lost. Could you tell me how to get out of the forest? And the peasant, who was a Jew, was observing Shabbos. And of course, he said, please come in, and I'll give you something to eat, and I'll get you on your way home. And while he was there, he gave him some cholent. And the Duke was thrilled. The taste of this cholent was out of this world. And he said, please send me the recipe. Famous story, right? You all heard it. He sends him the recipe, and the Duke comes back to him and says, I don't know, it doesn't taste the same. And the poor peasant had to tell him, try to explain to him, that the missing ingredient was Shabbos. There's a certain time of Shabbos. We enjoy Shabbos by eating delicacies, by having special foods, by relaxing. These are all parts and ingredients of Shabbos. But I think there's much more to it in terms of an attitude. And by the way, many of the foods that we eat on Shabbos are halachic foods. What do I mean by halachic foods? Cholent, for example, was developed simply because you can't cook on Shabbos. So you throw everything into a big pot on Erev Shabbos, and you keep it warm, and then you'll have something hot to eat on Shabbos afternoon. In the small towns, the only person who had a big oven was the baker. And people would bring their pots to the baker and put it in his oven Erev Shabbos, and they would build up the fire, and they would seal the oven doors with dough, which of course became baked over Shabbos. And then Shabbos afternoon, after shul, people would go and retrieve their pots, which are now still warm, and they had a meal on Shabbos afternoon because they couldn't otherwise warm if they didn't have electric or gas ovens. That's one Shabbos food that's halachic. Gefilte fish is another halachic food. It used to be called gestopte fish, stuffed fish. It wasn't gefilte fish. There's a halacha that you're not a borer. You can't separate bones from the meat. Chicken meat, fish bones, and fish have a lot of bones in it. People like to eat fish on Shabbos. So what they would do is they would take a fish, they would eviscerate the fish, take out all the stuff you throw out, and take all of the meat of the fish and mix it up with some spices and some flour and onions and carrots, whatever, and then stuff it back into the skin of the fish and bake it. So you had no bones to worry about on Shabbos. Later on, this kind of morphed into what we call a gefilte fish. But these are all part of things that we do to enhance Shabbos. I was fortunate, I spent 8 years with my father's cousin learning, and Hasidic gentleman, and I was very impressed by something he did on Shabbos. Every time he ate something, a piece of cake, a piece of fruit, something to nash on it, everything, before he made a bracha, he'd say, L'kavod Shabbos Kodesh, and he'd make a bracha. It was an attitude that Shabbos is special. Shabbos is not a day just to observe the losa sense. There are the positive things. And part of the modern life is that we sometimes lose, we miss the picture of what Shabbos, the positive aspects of Shabbos. For example, we have an Eruv that allows you to carry Sidurim and Halesim to shul on Shabbos, maybe to real baby carriages. Although I'm not crazy about that idea altogether. That's another story. But the Eruv was never intended for people to play ball, basketball, football, softball. People would suit up and have baseball games on Shabbos in this community. To me, NATEP, you're missing, that's not Shabbos. The purpose of the Eruv is to enhance Shabbos. Playing ball doesn't enhance Shabbos. There are positive aspects. It's leisure time, you relax, but it's time to learn uninterrupted too. You have no phone calls, you know, meetings to go to, you know, emails to answer. Sit and learn a little bit with a child, with a grandchild, for yourself. Sit in the backyard, enjoy the sun, but take advantage of the positive aspects of the day. One of the most important ways of demonstrating how important Shabbos is the way we dress on Shabbos. And beginning in the warm weather that's upon us now, I think it's important to review what the halacha has to say about how one should dress on Shabbos. And it's not just dressing to come to shul, it's just an attitude of, this is a special day. This is the day where we proclaim God's sovereignty over the universe. It should be a formal occasion. It is a formal occasion. Much of what we do on Friday night, for example, is based on the Kabbalists' understanding of Shabbos. They used to dress up and go out into the field to greet Shabbos HaMalkah. Our whole Kabbalah Shabbos service is based on that. And by the way, if you began davening with Baruch Hu on Friday night, you would not be violating the halacha, because Kabbalah Shabbos in every siddur, in every shul all over the world, is nothing more than a minhag. A minhag introduced by the students of the Ari. It caught on, and we observe that aspect of Shabbos by doing Kabbalah Shabbos to greet Shabbos HaMalkah. If it's a special day, one should dress accordingly. If you were to have an appointment with a king, with an important official, you wouldn't show up in shorts and a t-shirt. You wouldn't show up even in a sport jacket, perhaps. You'd certainly wear a necktie. So here we come to a problem. We live in a society which is very casual. Casual Friday, casual summertime. People very often work at home. I mean, I have to admit my own biases. I'm a child of the 50s. I watched my father go to work every single day wearing a suit and a tie and a crisp white shirt and a hat. And that's how he went to work every day. And as a kid, we went to shul on Shabbos. Everybody wore a jacket and tie. That's how you dress. If on a rare occasion we go out to eat in a fancy restaurant, you dressed up. If you went downtown to the movies, downtown means the Roxy, Radio City Music Hall, you got dressed up. Look at the old newsreels of baseball games, see how people dressed. They were all wearing suits and jackets and ties and hats. It was a different time. Better or worse, I'm not judging. But today, everything is much more casual. The Gemara tells us that everybody should have 2 cloaks. One for the week, one for Shabbos. And we know that people have, they used to have anyway. When people did not necessarily wear fancy clothes during the week, they would have a special suit for Shabbos. Special pair of shoes. These are your Shabbos shoes. Remember when you were a kid growing up? These are your Shabbos shoes.
Yeah.
Don't scratch them, right?
I think that's getting.
This is your Shabbos coat. And women had special Shabbos dresses and a Shabbos sheitel. I mean, people had special clothes for Shabbos. And this is what the Gemara tells us to enhance our understanding of what the day is. The Shulchan Aruch says very, very clearly that on Shabbos, when you greet the Shabbos queen, you have to dress as if you're greeting royalty, or the way you would dress to go to a wedding. Now, even though we live in a casual society, in most places, most of the time when you go to a wedding, people dress appropriately. We're not talking about Israel. Very different. In Israel, the custom is open collared shirts. Nobody wears a necktie, nobody wears a jacket, but that's in Israel. In North America and in most of Europe, the proper attire for a wedding is usually a suit and tie. Women wear dresses. Somehow we've lost that. And again, this is my personal opinion, although I did discuss this with Rav Schechter, and he agrees with my interpretation. Shulchan Aruch is very clear. The way people dress to a wedding is how you have to dress for Shabbos. And shorts, not appropriate for shul in general, but certainly not on Shabbos. Not wearing a jacket, not appropriate. Not wearing a necktie, not appropriate. In B'nai Yeshurun, for example, they won't give you an aliyah if you're not wearing a jacket and tie. Maybe a bit harsh, perhaps, but I think they had the right idea. It's a special day. Kohanim, for example, had to wear special begadim during their avodah. And the special clothing enhances your observance of the mitzvah. Just being in the 24-hour time period of Shabbos is fulfilling the mitzvah. You're in that time period, you have to feel special. You dress special, you behave special. You're not allowed to run and jump and leap on Shabbos, which may be another reason why not to have baseball games on Shabbos in the neighborhood. But you're not supposed to jump around on Shabbos. It's a day for introspection, a day for study, communing with Hashem. It's another way I can put it. And in our sophisticated, casual society today, we somehow have lost that. And I think it's unfortunate. The most important education that your children receive is what they see in the home. And if they see how you relate to Shabbos, that's how they will relate to Shabbos. Very, very important. It's not just a day of leisure. There are positive aspects of Shabbos too, and somehow we seem to have lost that. And Shabbos doesn't end at mincha time. Shabbos is over when you make Havdalah. And the same way it's inappropriate to come not properly dressed to shul in the morning, it applies to mincha too. I once wrote an article about this, and I had a whole section there about Shabbos robes for women, and I was cautioned not to write about it. But I have to say, how I feel. A Shabbos robe, at home it's one thing. If you want an experience not to be missed is to be in Woodburn, New York on a Saturday night during the summer. You ever had that experience? And in Woodburn, New York, the whole town is 1 block long. There's a lot of kosher places to eat. And they come out of the bungalow colonies. And the women come out in these magnificent Shabbos robes. It's basically a fancy house coat, bedecked in jewelry and rings and all kinds. This is their Shabbos clothing. In your own house, maybe. In public, on Shabbos, I don't know. In any event, I think that we've lost the, spiritual side of Shabbos. We observe, you're Shomer Shabbos, yes. You don't do malacha on Shabbos, yes. But what positive stuff do you do on Shabbos? What makes the day special other than the fact that you have a good piece of kugel and a nice chalent and a gefilte, special Shabbos? What's special about Shabbos that you do beyond feeding yourself, beyond sleeping in the afternoon and taking a long nap? Going for a walk with your wife is a wonderful thing to do on Shabbos afternoon. Wonderful. But is there any type of spiritual nourishment that we do on Shabbos? And sometimes it's reflected in how we dress. Again, I'm an old-fashioned person, I admit it. Our mothers and grandmothers walked to shul, maybe not wearing high heels, but certainly wearing dress shoes on Shabbos. Today, it's, again, I don't think it's necessarily wrong with it. You know, women will walk to shul in sneakers and then change into shoes when they come to shul on Shabbos. Good, bad, or otherwise, that's what they do. But clearly, in my personal opinion, to come to shul and wear flip-flops or some of these other open-toed shoes, I just don't think it's appropriate. The same way I don't think it's appropriate for people to show up in shul on Shabbos without wearing a necktie and a jacket. That's my personal opinion. But I think that's part of what the Gemara means when it says you should have special clothing for Shabbos. If a person is so poor, Gemara tells us, not everybody had 2 sets of clothing. A person is very, very poor, and he only has 1 set of clothing. So you have to perhaps roll your sleeves up a little bit, or roll your hem up to make it distinct, to make it different. Shabbos is not the same as the rest of the week. And that's something that we have somehow, we have to work to achieve. Our society today, in 2024, is very different than it was hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. We understand that. And if it becomes socially acceptable to show up at a wedding casually dressed in North America, maybe there's room for the halacha to be modified. But until that happens, casual Saturday is problematic, in my opinion. Again, this is my personal opinion. I'm not paskening. Have any questions? Consult your local Orthodox rabbi. But the notion of the positive aspects of Shabbos, what we do to make Shabbos different, and not just by refraining from halacha, there are positive things to do to show that it's a special day. Rav Soloveitchik criticized somebody one day. It was a very, very hot day. And he left his jacket in shul. Put it back on when he came back from Mincha. Soloveitchik criticized him. He says, shouldn't wear the jacket. I know it's hot. I'm hot too. Wear the jacket so people would see how a frum Jew dresses on Shabbos when he walks to shul or walks home from shul. It's an important thing. It's a very, very important thing that somehow we have lost touch with. The responsa literature is fascinating on this topic because there were many shuls, for example, in Algeria and other countries where a lot of sand. And there are many shuls, there's still a couple of shuls in South America like that, where the floor of the shul is sand. And many people walked around barefoot. Is it appropriate to be in shul barefoot? I mean, we're dressed in every other way, but is it appropriate to be in shul barefoot? But that's how people walked around. They were formally dressed, but you're walking on sand. That's so the difference of opinions, but it's a fascinating search through the literature of how people dressed on Shabbos. People have special, again, we all are aware people have special clothing on Shabbos. Hasidim wear a shtreimel or a spodek, different types of hats. And Hasidic Rebbes have different bekishes for Friday night, and Shabbos morning, and Shabbos afternoon. There's a whole ritual surrounding how people dress. Whether you wear white socks on Shabbos and black stockings during the week, with those who wear knickers, that's custom. But the idea is that Shabbos is a special day. We used to tell kids in camp that Shabbos is a big day. That's why you wear big day Shabbos. Because it's a special day, and you have to dress appropriately. I don't know if summer camps still do it, but back in the day, on Shabbos, everybody wore white, boys and girls. I never had white pants before until I went to camp. Everybody wore white. Everybody, when you dressed up, it was a special day. It's a special day. And I think there's much more to Shabbos than just not doing malacha and taking naps. And I just wanted to share my feelings about this. If I remember when I get home, Mendy, I will send you an article I wrote on this topic to perhaps share with the group, expressing, again, it's my personal opinion, which I feel is what the Shulchan Aruch codifies as halacha. That you go on Shabbos, you dress the way you dress to meet royalty, or the way you dress to go to a wedding. It's very clear, Shulchan Aruch. Ramah doesn't argue. Yeah.
Two things. One, what you're talking about, you compared it to, going to a wedding or going to a concert, or something. It goes back to some other shiur you gave regarding if you got an invitation to some head of state you actually liked, and or a special concert that you've been waiting for, that you wouldn't think of coming late. This was
correct.
Talking about attendance.
Oh, yes.
But I've also heard a lot of people say, and I guess the way we live our lives now, things are so busy and hectic during the week that in addition to turning off electronics and stuff on Shabbos, the idea is to use Shabbos as an opportunity perhaps to do things that you don't have time to do during the week. So maybe that's a rationale for people, to play ball or something like that. Though all these games seem to be during the week also. But she knew it was Shabbat kind of thing.
Yeah. It would be hard to reconcile playing ball with the spirit of Shabbos, I think, in my mind. I think that most people who understand what Shabbos is all about, for example, try to get home in enough time on Friday to prepare. And I see a lot of time, people just, pulling into their driveway right before Shabbos. Or coming to shul without having a chance to change, just make it on time. And not because this particular day there was traffic. It was just that this is how the workday begins. When one of my daughters worked down in Wall Street, and during the winter, she told her boss that I have to leave at 2:00 every Friday. She explained why, and he understood that. He says, but maybe you can explain something to me, he says to her. He says, mention the name of a guy, religious fellow, the next office. He leaves at 2:00 every Friday all year long. What's with him? Now, either he's taking advantage or he needs much more time to go to mikvah, who knows what. What's that?
You had to go up to the mountain.
Had to go up to the mountains. Okay, good point. Had to go up to the mountains. But one of the things that, again, Rav Soloveitchik in some of his essays is absolutely brilliant. He made an observation. He says, Baruch Hashem, we have many, many more Shomer Shabbos Jews today than at any other time in Jewish history. Wonderful. What we're missing, he said, is Erev Shabbos Jews. We don't have enough people who prepare for Shabbos, the Erev Shabbos attitude. And that's a very interesting and unique insight. We don't have Erev Shabbos Jews. Think about it. Shabbos preparations, you know when you start thinking about Shabbos? Today, on Wednesday. What were the last two lines to Shir Shel Yom this morning? L'chuna ranana. Why is L'chuna ranana stuck on to the end of the Shir Shel Yom from Tehillim? To remind you, Shabbos is coming. Get ready, start thinking about it. And the Gemara has many stories. There's a famous Shammai. You would on Wednesday or Thursday would see something nice in the market, and he'd pick it up for Shabbos. And if he finds something, and he would say, "This is I'm designating this fish this piece of meat for Shabbos. And then if later on he finds something better, he says, nah, this is for Shabbos. This is better. It's an attitude. It's an attitude. An attitude is not always something you can codify in halacha. And by giving you enough leeway to define how you relate to Shabbos in the positive way, not just the negative way, but the positive things that you do on Shabbos. Whether it's taking more time to sit and learn with your children, taking more time to learn for yourself, visiting somebody who's a shut-in, inviting somebody to make, for a meal, who's a widow or a person who's divorced, whatever it might be. Sharing the Shabbos spirit and understanding that it's much more than the Losa says, I think is a very, very important part of Shabbos. And if everybody would dress to honor Shabbos as if you really believe this is Shabbos HaMalka, I think it would enhance the Shabbos spirit and the attitude. I know if you walk into certain shtivalach, or if you walk into a yeshiva where people are all dressed properly, it's a very different atmosphere than when you walk into some shuls and people are dressed very casual. It's an attitude. It's an attitude that reflects how a person, relates to Shabbos. If you relate to Shabbos in a very casual way, then maybe that says something about your relationship to Shabbos. I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just, again, I'm getting it off my chest. The warm weather is upon us now. People are, taking off jackets, taking off ties. I know that today, many women may not wear stockings when they get dressed sometimes to go out. It's a different attitude how people dress today. I think that the expression "clothes make the man," how one dresses for an occasion tells you how important that occasion is. And if you dress formally, then that means that you regard it as something special. I don't know if it was just a New York phenomenon or elsewhere, but in New York, in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and even today in some places, the rabbis of every Orthodox synagogue, as well as the president and vice president of the shul, would come to shul dressed in a tuxedo or formal wear, even a top hat. Because on Shabbos, you're supposed to wear your nicest clothing. What is the nicest clothing? For a tuxedo. I grew up in a little shul in Inwood, tip of Manhattan. And every Shabbos, our rabbi came to shul wearing a morning suit. Striped pants, gray jacket, a vest, white tie. Because that's how Rabbanim dressed on Shabbos. You wear your nicest clothing on Shabbos. And today, I think in the Fifth Avenue Synagogue, the Jewish Center, maybe a few other shuls in New York, they still do that, the top hats and the tuxedo and the fancy formal wear. Because that's how you dress on special occasions. I know that in some European homes, at the Seder, they would come to the Seder dressed in tuxedos. Because that's how you dress on formal occasions. So these are things that it's food for thought. And even though it may be sometimes uncomfortable in the warm weather to wear a suit and tie, and for women to dress up on Shabbos, Shabbos comes once a week, and it's a special day, and I think we have to regard it accordingly. And clearly the halacha wants you to regard it as a special day, which is why it says on Shabbos, it's very clear, you dress the way you dress being royalty, or the way you dress going to a wedding. And as I said, I discussed this with Rav Shechter, and I said, am I being too harsh? Is this what the halacha really means? And he said, it's black and white, you're not wrong. So it's food for thought, agree, disagree, do what you will. I just want to get that off my chest. But I will forward an article to Mendy to send to you that outlines all the sources for my rant, if you will.
Wally,
Yes,
should we have a similar attitude for Yom Tovim?
absolutely. Shabbos and Yantif, absolutely. The pasuk in Yeshayahu tells us that this is one of the ways you honor. There's kavod, there's oneg, the chibadato. You have to honor Shabbos, and you honor it with nice food and nice clothing. And Yantif is in the same category. Yantif is actually called Shabbos in a few places in the Chumash. We're in the middle of Sfira now. When do you begin counting Sfira? Second day of Pesach, right? How does the Torah describe that? The second day of Yantif, it says Mimacharas HaShabbos. So Shabbos and Yantif, the language is even the same. Absolutely right.
I remember many years ago, I went with my son-in-law, my grandchildren, to one of the Taproot-Bunim and Teaneck's house on Yontif, not Shabbos, backyard basketball game.
I know. It's a Machas Medina. I know that when I lived in Florida, and Florida is a much more casual place than up here, believe me. They had basketball games on Shabbos afternoon, and my son was very angry with me because I wouldn't let him change into shorts and sneakers. And you will have in some communities people playing basketball dressed in their formal pants and white shirts and Shabbos shoes, because the parents wouldn't let them change out of their big day Shabbos. But they couldn't stop them from playing. But it happens, and I think it's very wrong. I will tell you one story about that. In Shomrei Torah's early history, I may have mentioned this once before. In Shomrei Torah's early history, we didn't have an Eruv. And when we started the process that led to the Eruv, so I made a suggestion at a board meeting that the Eruv should end one block before the shul. Of course, people could carry from place to place. They can bring a cholent pot to their neighbor's house. They can bring flowers or whatever it might be. But baby carriages for infants and don't belong in shul, my personal opinion. And I was yelled at and screamed at. Okay. A few months after the Eruv was in place, the person who criticized me the most got up at a board meeting and apologized to me. This was after the president of the shul at the time made an announcement, don't leave soiled diapers in the tallis rack. I mean, toddlers, another favorite rant of mine, little infants and toddlers do not belong in shul, period, self-pasuk. If the mother wants to go to shul daven, either hire a babysitter or send her husband to the early minyan. Little babies do not belong in shul. And when you have children coming to shul, if you want to keep them out of the main sanctuary from making noise, have a junior congregation, teach them how to daven. Not just play games and running around. What's that?
You still have kids running in and out all the time and out the ball.
I'll just end with this. When I was in Atlanta once, Rabbi Feldman at that time was a senior rabbi there, and it was known in his shul that it was a very, very quiet, decorous shul. And he said from the bima, little children like orders should be carried out. And if you went to daven to Breuer's, you never had children running around wild. Never. Huh? By the way, at Breuer's, I want you to know, they also had a dress code. Not only did everybody come properly dressed, but everybody from the age of 13 and up wore a hat, and every woman wore white gloves to shul on Shabbos. The first time my wife came to shul in Broyers and not wearing white gloves, everybody went, who is this person? She didn't know what the code was. But people have standards. And I think that's something that we've lost sight of. Anyway, have a wonderful Rosh Chodesh. and a great
Wally,
day. Yes.
wasn't there a story about some famous gadol whose mother brought him to shul by the time he was an infant, and he grew up to be a gadol ador?
Could be.
I mean, that's an exception to the rule, yeah.
Yeah, but I guarantee he wasn't running around wild.
No, I understand. You mentioned Broyers. The 1 minute that I never liked, only one person can say Kaddish.
Okay, but that was the way, that's the halacha
Right.
technically. That's the halacha. And unfortunately, because people would fight who would say Kaddish, so everybody says Kaddish.
I mean, I was in Avil. I didn't want to be deprived of saying it.
Look, I know a very respected Talmud Chacham. When his father died, he practically never said Kaddish for a year because he was always in a minyan if somebody else was saying Kaddish. If nobody was there, he would say Kaddish.
Part of it I could see, because when you say Kaddish, you have people at different rates. The one who's ready to catch the bus, he's saying it. You can't even hear what he's saying. Doesn't even sound like it's a Brit.
Yeah,
The other one who takes forever. So the same way, like in the morning minyan, people in a rush to get out. You have Bal Tfilah who's taking forever. Anyway, it's good to see you.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Have a wonderful. I'm going to hear you before Shabbos. Otherwise, Friday.
Friday morning, give us a show.
Okay, so I won't wish you now. Just have a great day.
Okay. Rabbi Saina Barech. Yishena Baruch Metov Yad Olah. Shus Kol Mesubin Kan. Baruch Shechal Mishalo. Baruch Shechal Mishalo. Tuva Chayidu. Who knows and lechem l'chol basar kilam pasta u'tva gadol tamid al tamayim. Ki hu elon afaneis lakol mitiv lakol michim b'tzon chol b'yasav asher bara baruch ato Adonai azon es hakol. El brisko shachasam. Oleis u'l'chol sha'a v'yal hakol. V'yachol le'vizor. Baruch atah Adonai al ha'aretz v'al hamazon. U'bnei Yerushalayim ira kodesh me'ru v'yameinu baruch atah Adonai b'nei berachama v'Yerushalayim. U'heiti Yeshua nechem v'razal, Chaim Shalom Chol Tov, v'mikol tov, Yolam Ha'yachasreinu. Very true about that. Yeah. David Russell actually once. Right. Yeah. So I was a teenager, didn't want to wear a hat. So when I was getting a lead, I took my father's hat, put it behind me. We're gonna leave without a hat. Thank
Rear door is okay, or can I make the car around front?
Yeah, I'll meet you on the side.
Where the ramp is.
Yeah. Okay. Rather than the stairs, if I can afford it.
So Wally, you have a ride?
Yeah, Pete's taking it.
Okay, thanks.
That's your card. Thank you very much.
Ladies.
So tomorrow is when I go as a chaperone for that math.
Okay. So that's
thing.
good.
luck.
I'm gonna go to,
Fun.
I'm gonna go, I have to call Melba and see which entrance I should drive into.
Peter's
when I
taking-
come, like, it
There's only one
8:40.
entrance open, I think.
No, but it might be close enough still to early start of the day that they might have the one on Century open as opposed to the one
Have a
on
good
Essex when I
day.
pick up the kids. from the
Ladies
gym.
and gentlemen.
Thank you, John.
Old ladies again?
Have a good day, everybody.
Yesterday. Today he won. No, I told him.
Yeah.
So
I was saying even in Israel, he won't wear his double breast. I don't even know if he I don't think he packs a suit for Israel anymore.
Oh.
I'm just like, oh, this one, especially my sister's in shop. It's like, wow.
Okay.
So he'll wear a white shirt and dark pants. So.
I wonder why it's different in Israel.
Anticipate you.
Maybe started
Go get the car and pick
me
me up.
I don't know, could
But
be,
he's
could be.
good.
Have a lovely.
You too, sweetheart. Take it
Very happy.
easy.
Thank you. Makes him happy.
Yeah.
Have a good
Okay,
day.
have a good
All right, Shiva, you too. Ay, all right. That requires moving and getting up.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Do it, we'll do it.
Yeah. Okay. If she's here.
You too.
say She's there. Right there.
I just would like to hear from you.
She's fine, believe me, she's fine.
Yeah, he's coming home tonight, so. We'll see what happens with that. No,
What
he's
is
gonna
it?
defend her.
Okay,
He comes to defend
all
her.
right, take it from where it
Crusader
comes.
rabbit.
Take it from where it
I know,
comes,
just,
honey, otherwise you're gonna graze yourself
I
like
am,
this.
and so was he.
So, where's it gonna get you in Mendon? huh?
No place, I just watch him and I get very upset.
You have to
So
remove
it
yourself from
upsets
the
me even more.
situation, you know,
It's not fair.
physically remove yourself from the situation.
Oh, it's physically, it's rude because she's not there.
And even when she is there,
But you don't have to tell
Don't-
him where she is. He asks where you are, you won't tell him.
don't let her get on
Unheard
the
of.
soapbox
Unheard
and
of.
don't give her the
Well,
opportunity
he
to
was
say
on the
something,
soapbox yesterday.
you know, because otherwise you're just feeding it,
Mm,
putting coal in the fire.
You know, like the children pot that they had in the shtetl.
Yeah. You
How
know,
did they carry though? You know, was there an area for the shtetl?
it
How
was
did they
before
get to the
Shabbos. Oh, you mean
bakery?
after
How did they
Shabbos?
go to the bakery on Shabbos
To
and
get
get their
the
pot? Was
lunch,
there an
yeah.
area? How'd they carry?
There probably was an area in the stables. There probably was. Then ask my grandpa,
No.
but yeah. But that's what you should do.
I'm trying.
You
my
agree,
best.
Mendy?
Mendy, 100%. He agrees with everything. He's smarter than me. I'm just all emotional, so.
Yeah, well, it's not easy, you know, to have that situation.
But it
in your
came
face
from
all the
nowhere. It
time.
just blew up from nowhere. All of a sudden, she went cuckoo.
I bet she's not, she's even not taking the medication, or she'll be having a reaction to the medication.
Or taking something else with her. Nobody could sleep that much. It's an impossibility.
Sleep is an escape,
I know.
you know, sometimes.
Oh,
I know. Way out shot this morning in the hospital. And we were sitting outside the room to make sure nobody went in to take him
Right.
downstairs, you know,
right.
and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, my mother was very angry at me. And she says, "How could you sleep?" I said, "Because I was not in the hospital and nothing happened this morning. And it was an escape." But people use sleep as an escape sometimes. But you're gonna really get sick. Mendy's gonna get sick. And it's gonna nobody good. So if that's her end game, then you have to say, you know,
She's not healthy. She's not well.
no,
Right now, at least anyway.
but if she doesn't want to get the help that she needs,
She thinks she is, but she's going to this therapist. Don't have much work for her. But then again, who knows what she does? And he's coming home tonight. So. Oh, yeah, ish. Oh, yeah.
no, this is, you know. But that's the only thing I could suggest.
Yeah, because I can't be around you. I want to. Went to the mall. I did not see you.
And you're very nice that you went with her there.
No, I did. I'm glad he's back. I haven't seen him in a while. No, he was here, yeah. I guess he said something with allergies or something.
Oh, it's very bad this year.
Really bad.
But did you take a Xanax or something?
Last
Without-
night before I went to sleep. I can't take it now because I'll fall asleep. It's
So
okay.
when you get home, after you have everything done for the day,
We were going to get the lettuce and tomatoes.
okay. What time shall we get tomorrow?
I don't know, it's maybe what time it even is tomorrow. Wait till he comes in.
Like 11 o'clock or something?
I don't know, I'm gonna ask him. I absolutely have not a clue. Zippola,
Oh, so call me then, let me know.
yes. Sharon, I can't, I just, I'm fit to be told. And she knows it, she knows to get to me. She said, it's like amazing. Crazy.
I too bad it's fear, otherwise I'll say go out to the movies.
Nah,
Or do something.
we'll watch our shows, me and Mandy.
You know, do something.
Mandy? Yes. What time is tomorrow? Sharon wants to know what time to come to help out. What time will we be here?
All right, you let me
I have
know.
no idea what he just said. No.
He has to think.
Okay.
You let me know when. Okay.
Yep. I'll call you later.
Yeah. All right. So just stay calm, cool, and collected.
Who are you talking to?
And
I'm
don't
doing
talk.
my best. Yeah. Yep.
Do not have any conversation
No,
whatsoever.
I told her I'm not
Even if she
talking to her.
wants to.
No, if she
Don't.
calls me, then I'll
If
actually
she calls you,
text
she's
me.
gonna want you.
I don't want to be yelled at. She can text me.
She does talk to you, so she's gonna want you to.
She's gonna come home when you're not there. I go into her room and close the door. What should I tell you,
It's a
Sharon?
tough, place to be,
Yep.
but.
It's
you know,
unheard of,
you
but
have
that's how
to-
she
in
speaks
this
to me.
case, she'll come around
Ah,
eventually, but you
maybe.
need to watch out for you and them.
Yep.
That's your main.
Yeah, for sure.
Number one.
Yeah.
All right.
Onward we go. I'll talk
I
to you
will
later
talk
as
to you
soon as
later.
he knows.
All right.
As soon as he knows, I will let you know. Okay.
All right, I call it
Is this still on? Why it isn't? I know, I'm trying to get to it. I can't.
Put it back, put it back.
Yes, we do.
Tomorrow we have lunch.
Yes,
Correct.
sir.